Hello and good evening from where I am. This is Lee with Untapped Potential, and after a couple day absence and some lost footage that I don't want to talk about, I am back. So we're just going to do another daily real quick. We've done enough archetypal, we're working on the counting up still, and we have Arcane Melee. Deal 30 damage to our opponent or opposing creatures outside of combat. That sounds fun. So let's go ahead and build ourselves a deck to work on that. And the best part is, since it's not an archetypal quest, we can build using whatever cards we want to. So, let's take a look at what we can do here. Just go ahead and select the deck builder this time. And as far as outside of combat damage goes, we definitely are playing red, but what do we want to play with it? Well, let's go ahead and get our first creatures and we'll work from there. Fiery Impulse, I wish I owned more of, but one of is a Snap Include and something like this. Ember Haulers are fantastic. Fiery Conclusion also certainly makes the cut. Inferno Fist does everything we want it to, as does Twin Bolts. We're going to jam 4 copies of each. Scrolling on through here, see what else we can find. Blazing Hellhound's going to come in here, at least as one of, since I only own one. So let's try out red and black. And colorless too, because we aren't going far without Perilous Mirror. Where are you, buddy? I know you're in here somewhere. We've had a lot of fun together, and we're not stopping now. Okay, so we've got Perilous Mirror. Throw in a copy of Meteorite to get some extra damage, and while we're here, we'll go ahead and grab the lands, Dragon Skull Summits, Boracto Skilledgate. And do we want 2 Evolving Wilds? I don't think we do. We want to be quick. Okay, so that's that good stuff there. Oh my, of course, into the Maw of Hell. 13 damage to target creature. We cast that thing like twice and like 2 other spells ever. We're already done. There's also, so what are we up to? We're up to 28 cards right now, 6 of which are lands. So we're at 22. We want to be at 37, so we've got some room to keep growing. Let's see what else we like here. At this point, I think we're just gonna, let's see, is there anything in black that deals damage? Go ahead and grab Cruel Revival, Unholy Hunger, and a copy of Flesh to Dust so we can pack some removal. Nightfire Giant goes along with what we want to do for our daily, so let's go ahead and jam him in there. As far as other creatures we like go, throw in Liliana for fun, a Reeve Soul for some early offensive. Same with Child of Night. Okay, we're up to 40 now. We have room for 3 more. We've got 16 creatures, 18 non-creatures. Let's find a few more creatures here. Something good. Is there anything else we have that will deal damage? I'm not seeing... Oh yeah, well, we can do some Blood Pyre Elementals. Let's see what our mana curve looks like. It's very strange. Very top-heavy, but we have a lot of 2-drops, so we got enough stuff we can do early that I'm not worried about having a totally locked game. I'd like for our mana curve to look better, but with the cards we simply have on offer at this point, I'm just not sure it's going to happen. Okay, so now we do have to... Where do we go to add land again? Oh yeah, it's just, no. Can you tell it's been a while since I've done this? Oh, there they are, yep. So, let's go back here, see that we have like a 20-13 split. So let's go ahead and play, since we need double red early, we'll play, let's do a 9-8 split. I think that seems like a good number. Okay, go down here, choose our avatar. Who do we want today? She's got the red eyes, black thing going on. So we'll grab her and we'll throw ourselves on a nice red background like this one. I like the way it looks. We'll call it Damage Yo Face. I don't know why, but that seems funny. Okay, so we got Damage Yo Face. We're ready to go. We're going to do against hard AI tonight. And, as usual, I'm going to start overdubbing, and I will see you in game number 1. So we make our way to battle mode and immediately throw ourselves against the hard AI. And hopefully this rainstorm that's currently going on in the background of where I live will pass quickly enough that it will not make too much background noise. Fingers crossed. Let's do this as quick as we can. Our opening hand has a lot of good stuff in it, but only one land. We can't make it play. Our next hand has quite a few more, but since we do have a fairly high end of the curve anyway, we decide to roll with it, especially as we have one 2-drop in Child of Night, and then we immediately draw another, making it even better. Our opponent spends their first 2 turns not doing anything, just playing green sources, so we run out Child of Night. We've got plenty of life gain going on, but the goal here is to do damage, and fortunately the Inferno Fist we drew last turn, and the Into the Maw of Hell we drew this turn, will help us get a lot done there. We go ahead and attack here, doing damage. We notice our opponent has played a white source, so they are in green-white, possibly another color as well. We do 4 damage, and we leave mana up for Inferno Fist. We don't end up using it. And here I make a bit of a mistake by running out both of my Childs of Night in the first main phase, which leads us right into getting blown out by a reprisal, and since we have no mana left to fire off the Inferno Fist, we don't get in with the damage, so our turn ends without actually accomplishing anything. Our opponent plays yet another white source and plays Dwynn here. This is bad news for us as Dwynn is quite large and powerful, but fortunately we get our 5th land and are able to run out our Bloodpyre Elemental, sacrificing it to do 4 damage, taking care of Dwynn. We do 4 more damage to our opponent and gain 4 more life. The opponent stumbles here, they don't seem to have a play, so we go ahead and drop Rakdos Guildgate and Meteorite, which immediately does 2 damage to our opponent. That puts us up to 6. We attack here, and once again the opponent isn't able to do anything, so we drop them to 6. We're at 32. Our opponent plays an Amperin Tactician here, hoping to stall out the game and keep themselves alive. And they will, somewhat. We go ahead and Fiery Impulse the Amperin Tactician, and then, just to get 2 damage on it, and then we use Into the Maw of Hell to do an additional 13 to it. The way now clear, we attack. We probably could have saved the Fiery Impulse for next turn, but I will just decide to go ahead and get it over with since even if he plays a creature, we have 2 creatures of our own and can just go wide to win. And with that, game number 1 is over. We don't quite get all 30 damage in the first game, but we get a significant chunk of it. Let's go to game number 2. Let's see if we can get this one done just as quickly. Once again, we keep a 4-land hand, as we have things we can use to cast with it, and we have the double red we need for our early game Ember Hauler. Our opponent is also in red, but does not have an early play, once again putting us in a good spot. We play our Ember Hauler, hoping he can't kill it this turn as we don't have mana up to sacrifice it. Fortunately, he doesn't. He does, however, play a white source and pass back to us. We go ahead and run out of Swamp here and attack. Fiery Impulse can't hit players, unfortunately, so we actually don't have anything else to do this turn. We hold back, hoping he plays a creature so we can kill it at the end of his turn. He obliges, and I'm not dealing with a double striker, so Fiery Impulse to the rescue. 2 more damage, and the Iroasa champion is gone. We also go ahead and play Blazing Hellhound this turn, though we do know full well that if he tries to kill either of our creatures, we can unfortunately not activate their abilities. Still, we're 1 turn away from playing Meteorite, which we can then use to play Into the Maw of Hell, meaning that even if we lose this game, we still will, win just by virtue of... We'll still win because we've done enough damage, we'll complete our daily. We go ahead and play Meteorite and sacrifice Ember Hauler here to get rid of Amperin Tactician for a combined total of 4 damage. We also go ahead and attack here for 4 damage on our opponent using our Blazing Hellhound. Unfortunately, our opponent now has multiple dual lands, so even if we destroy one next turn, Into the Maw of Hell isn't going to amount to much. We also draw an Inferno Fist here, so we play Into the Maw of Hell, destroying his untapped land and his creature. Once again, we attack for 4. The game's going really well here, but unfortunately things are about to take a distinctive turn for the worse as our opponent runs out of Fire Fiend Elemental that he's smart enough not to attack with. We get into a bit of a rut here where we just keep drawing lands, but fortunately we have Inferno Fist to clear the way and reduce our opponent to 4. One more attack after this one, and we will be golden. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, it's not something that's going to end up happening, as you're about to find out. So we draw Bloodpyre Elemental here, we decide to just go ahead and attack for the win, but our opponent was wise to us and plays Hixus, the Prison Warden, which he doesn't use to exile our stuff, he simply uses to block. So he destroys our creature, we play the Elemental in the second main phase hoping that, well, okay, we've got another 4-power creature, we'll just use it next turn. Unfortunately, our opponent's running meteors of their own, and our small creature gets killed. We can't even sacrifice him to his own ability because of the sorcery speed caveat. Tough luck. So we play Child of Night here. We do manage to draw a creature, but unfortunately our opponent has way more resources on hand at this point, and a Razorfoot Griffin with first strike and flying is the last thing we wanted. I take it back, that land was the last thing we wanted, as all we need now is a way to do a small amount of damage. Knightly Valor now on his creature gives it Vigilance, and also puts a Vigilant token into play, so now our opponent's free to start with a counter attack that we can't block. Once again, we draw yet another tap land that we can't use, so we're forced to pass the turn back again. At this point, now a Chandra's Ignition wipes our board and gets us for even more damage. Now we're in a bit of a pickle, as we're starting to run out of life ourselves, and 4 damage in the air adds up. Especially when our opponent has all the mana they could possibly need, and a way to make flyers. We top deck Twin Bolt here and use both points just to shock our opponent. We can hope just to draw another copy or an Inferno Fist or something next turn to finish and win the game. We just have to cross our fingers for this last draw. Our opponent also plays 2 Thopters and a Blessed Spirits, so everything depends on what we draw here. And a Child of Night, unfortunately, is not going to cut it. We go ahead and play him though, even though our opponent has enough flying creatures that there's no way we can block. The opponent is charitable though, and doesn't go for the gross overkill, instead simply defeating us. So while we do not win the game, we did complete our daily, giving us a significant chunk of gold. Let's go to the store. Nothing too crazy in our pack today, unfortunately. We do get another copy of Grasp of the Harrowmancer, which we have used to great effect before. Not much to say about it though, as we've seen what it can do, and what it does is great. Celestial Flare, on the other hand, is a decent early game removal, though the double white and its mana cost can be very prohibitive. Use it with discretion. It also gives the opponent the choice of what they sacrifice if they have multiple legal targets, so do bear that in mind that they will usually just use it to get rid of their worst creature. Stalwart Avon is excellent in the Renown decks, and he's also good on the defensive, as his 1-3 stats can block effectively, and once he becomes a 2-4 after his first attack, those are respectable numbers, especially on a flyer. Moving to the uncommons, the first one is Possessed Scab, who, when he enters the battlefield, gets basically the best card in your graveyard and puts it back into your hand. I mean, this is great. Granted, he cannot choose himself because when he dies he'll be exiled, but this is done to prevent loops. Whirler Rogue, our second uncommon, is better than most rares. It's an incredible card, and if it's in a Thopter deck, you want this. There are no questions to ask. And finally, we have Alhammaret the High Arbiter. This guy you'll remember from Jace's story, and he's okay. 7 for a 5/5 flyer. That'll do some good damage, even though 7 is extremely expensive in an aggro-heavy metagame, like, say, for example, this one. But once he enters the battlefield, you can take 1 card from your opponent's hand and basically say, yeah, that, you don't get to use it. So he's solid, but extremely mana intensive. Keep that in mind. Alright guys, thanks for watching. This has been Lee with Untapped Potential. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you around.